Good evening. As y'all can see, y'all got a new chairman. He's better looking than that other one. I just got to pick at him a little bit. It's December 3rd meeting, regular scheduled board meeting. Tonight, for the invocation and the pledge, want to start to get a little participation here with the audience, so I've asked Mr. Ford if he would take care of that for us, and he said he'd be more than happy to. Mr. Ford, it's all yours.
First of all, I want to thank the chairman, for giving me the invocation this afternoon, so it was an honor for me to accept it. So let us pray. Dear Heavenly Father, in our hearts, we plan our course, but we pray that you establish our steps. We humbly seek your direction, and we ask that all decisions that is made this evening will be based not upon what we know, but based on your wisdom. Please guide us, Lord. We place this meeting into your hands. We ask for special blessings on the new leadership of this Board of County Commissioners. We ask and we put their hearts and minds into your hand for you to direct them. Father, we pray not for only this board, but for each of us to rely on our own results, but to seek you. Because we are human and we are prone to mistakes. We also ask that you bless everything that goes on in this meeting this afternoon. We ask you to not only bless our local elected leaders, but our state and national leaders as well. Lord, we pray your blessings upon our first responders and our military service members wherever they are serving. We ask that you deflect any hurt, harm, and danger away from them. These blessings we ask in your holy name. Amen.
Amen. Amen.
I salute the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
The flag for everybody.
I had to turn all the way around.
First item tonight is regular board meeting approval minutes from November 18th. Do I have a motion to approve those?
So moved.
Second.
I got a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All
Motion and seconded that. I did.
Got a motion by Mr. Richardson, a second by Mr. Fleming.
All right, thank you.
Apologize for that. All in favor, say aye.
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 All opposed, same sign. Next item is the consent agenda. I have any items wish to be pulled for discussion.
Motion to approve.
I got a motion to approve items 2 through 8.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Gamble, second by Commissioner Hale. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. We have a time specific at 6:05. At 6:05 p.m. or as soon thereafter as the matter can be heard, we're going to hold a public hearing to consider closing and vacating an unnamed and undeveloped road in Section 15 and 16, Township 1 South, Range 12 East, Suwannee County, Florida. Mr. Ron Meeks, Planning and Zoning Director.
Do we need
Do we need to swear if we have anybody that's...
Yes, sir. Okay,
If we have anybody from the public that's wishing to speak on this matter, please stand, be sworn in.
you see known staff, you swear or affirm the testimony you give this evening before the board will be the truth, so help you God.
I do.
Thank you, sir.
Mr. Chairman and board members, this issue actually came before the board a few weeks ago and I had included a memo in with your backup information for your packet. With the application, the attorney for Pinnacle had missed a portion of the legal description, and the legal description that was contained with the application was not complete. So that was later found by their surveyors, and so they contacted us, so we just re-advertised, bring it back before the board. So it's the same issue that we had the board address a few weeks ago. It's a unnamed, undeveloped road that's basically just a right-of-way existing on a deed that was deeded back to the county several years ago. It comes actually off of 24th Street into a pasture that's under pivot irrigation at this point. It does not go all the way through to County Road 132, just kind of stops in the middle of the field. But the legal description was incorrect on the first hearing, so we've corrected that, and this will just ask that you'll re-adopt an ordinance closing and vacating that portion of the property. At this time, I'll enter the file into the record.
Okay. I'll take the file in as composite exhibit 1.
Does the board have any questions for staff?
I don't, Chairman.
If I might, Mr. Chairman.
Yes, sir.
Mr. Meeks, the original application that was done by Pinnacle included, the original inquiry included 2 different roads that went through that particular same piece of property. Did the first description that was provided back in October only include one of them, or did it include both?
One of them.
Okay, and
The
that's what
application.
we're trying to do is, there's actually a second road,
No,
a second,
that's not part of this application. The other description actually parallels 185th Road, and that description is within the existing right-of-way of 185th Road.
okay,
So that will not be closed. This is only one portion that runs to the middle of the pasture.
okay, thank you.
At this time, we'll open the floor to public comment. Seeing none, is there anyone else wishing to speak? At this time, we'll close public comment. Have board discussion? Anyone?
Have anything?
Seeing none, do we have a motion to adopt the resolution?
Motion approved.
Second.
Got a motion by Mr. Fleming, second by Commissioner Richardson. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed, same sign. Motion carries 5-0. At this time, we close the public hearing. Item number 10, at 6:05 PM or as soon thereafter as the matter can be heard, we're going to hold a public hearing to consider special permit for temporary use request number SPTU-19-10-01 by American Promotional Events, DBA TNT Fireworks, to be granted a special permit for temporary use under Section 1410 of the Suwannee County Land Development Regulations for a fireworks tent sale, to be held starting December 26, 2019 through December 31st, 2019, on property zoned commercial intensive.
Mr. Chairman, board members, I believe this is the 6th request we've had from TNT Fireworks. They do hold their events in July and at the first of the year for the New Year sale. The location of the site is in the Walmart parking lot, located off of US 129 North. As we had previously stated in the agenda item, the request would be from December the 26th, running through December the 31st of 2019. We've had no issues or complaints with the company involved or the use in the past, and they always go through Tim White with the fire department with their fire marshal inspection, and usually fall in line with their permitting and inspections as required by law. So you have a resolution in your packet requesting approval of the temporary use permit, which is allowed by the land use regulations. The request went before the Planning and Zoning Board at our regularly scheduled October 31st meeting. Planning and Zoning Board's recommendation was for approval. So at this time, I'll enter the file into the record and ask your adoption of the resolution.
Thank you,
Yes.
sir. I'll take it in as composite exhibit number 1. It doesn't need to carry it over. Anybody else?
At this time, do we have anyone else that wishes to speak from the public? Seeing none. Board questions of the staff?
I don't have any.
Does, Mr. Chairman, does this represent the same size tent? Everything's the same as last year? Just
Same thing every year, every time. Same, so almost exactly the same layout as everything is July.
okay.
This time, we'll open the floor to public comment. Seeing none, is there anyone else wishing to speak? This time, we'll close public comment. Any further board discussion?
Mr. Chairman, I offer a motion that we approve the resolution and let them come in.
Second.
I have a motion by Commissioner Richardson, a second by Commissioner Gamble. Is that correct?
Yep.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed, same sign. Motion carries 5-0.
Very much.
Thanks, sir.
This time,
Thank
we'll
you.
close public hearing. I trust the county attorney doesn't have any items for us tonight.
No, sir.
Staff reports, we have Mr. Harris. Have anything for us? Okay, thank you. We'll go to the next one. Go ahead.
I'll give you some highlights very quickly. We continue to work on the improvements associated with the Catalyst site, the rail crossing, 175th Road, the turn lanes on US 90. There's design work that's underway. We're dealing with an extension on our CDBG funding that would be associated with the rail crossing itself. And those other improvements out there are not funded by grant dollars. Those are local funds that will be used for the other improvements. So that's underway. Before long, we should be bidding the work, the balance of the work on the water plant for I-75 and the sewer plant. Those projects continue to work through the various agencies that require permitting and input, lots of input from state agencies. And permits. We've got permits that go under I-75 and design criteria that has to be permitted by DEP and others. So that's underway. The timeline that I anticipate for completion and having those systems in operation is the end of next year. That's the calendar that we're working with right now. So we anticipate that to become a reality very soon. We've got other road projects that are underway around the county. We're still working on chip seal throughout the county, and we just continue that process. As a matter of fact, I'll just share with you that as it gets colder, they don't like to chip seal. So January, February, they probably won't be doing much of that unless we have very warm temperatures. So global warming will help us in that regard. That's a good thing. We'll get some T-shirts made up and say we love global warming. But in any event, that's really about what we've got going on. We're trying to wrap up the Mizell building. My anticipation right now is that they should be moving in early January. That's the plan right now. We should be pretty much out of the inside of that building within another week, week and a half, with the exception of the carpet. I think that's the only thing that we'll have left. That'll come in right at the very end of the year. Could be the first week of January. But we should have all the sidewalks and parking and everything wrapped up on the front of that building by the end of this year as well. That's the plan.
Just a quick question. The sidewalk they're digging out front right now, are they gonna have that kind of tidied up, cleaned up before Friday?
The sidewalk may be, but the pavement won't be. I
I
don't
don't know,
Yeah, I don't think we can have the pavement
20,000
completed.
people coming through Christmas on the Square. That was my concern there.
Yeah, well, we're going to try to have that concrete finished by Thursday. That's the plan. That's what we're working toward right now.
Temple.
Couple of issues there. I don't know if you remember, but what was in front of the Mizell building before was a sidewalk that was about anywhere from 12 to 16 inches higher in places than the asphalt. We've got to correct all of that. Part of that entails cutting out that asphalt in front and trying to bring that down to lower the sidewalk and the curb to make it ADA compliant, so that it comes back down and meets with the street. So that's why all of that is cut up now. But the plan right now is to have the concrete portion of that completed by end of day Thursday. That's about all I have for you.
Anyone else have any questions for Mr. Harris?
I have one question, Mr. Chairman. I think the repairs, all to the current office they're in, is all those repairs done? As far as the side, I've seen the sidewalk outside, as far as the leveling of the building back up and all that, Supervisor of Elections Office, those repairs complete?
There's a little bit of work that needs to be done on the interior of the building as a result of that work that was done, the geotech work that was done.
Right.
But the plan right now is to ask, because the insurance company's paying for that, we're trying to deal with the contractors on holding off on coming in there and disturbing everything until they have moved out.
Perfect.
So providing they can move out in January, then we want the contractor to come in thereafter and do their final repairs inside that building. Otherwise, it's just going to be a major disruption for them trying to get packed up to move and then have contractors in there working at the same time that existing building.
Everybody good on that?
Yes, sir.
Move on to general business. Item 12, 2020 annual committee appointments. I just asked for this to be placed on here so we could have some discussion. If there's, basically, I haven't moved anybody or changed anything, and the reason being is all of us are kind of loaded up on boards that we have to sit on, or committees. So if someone's unhappy with where they're at, or if, we need to have a discussion as to who's willing to swap out with them or take that place, or,
Mr. Chairman, I want to be the first one. I'm happy around that.
okay. Appreciate that, Mr. Fleming.
I'm good where I am.
Mr. Hale? Mr. Campbell?
Some of them I'm on, I can't stay on unless you change the rules. It says specifically chairman.
Chairman.
And I'll gladly let you have those.
I've heard. Mr. Richardson?
I'm good with mine.
So with that being said, we're satisfied.
Yep.
Okay.
There's one that was not on here, that, another one I'm on, and that's that River Task Force.
Right.
But it's not listed here.
We'll add that to the list.
Yep.
Do you have an update for us while you mention that, or is there anything?
Not since the last meeting, but I do have, the gentleman's gonna come and give us a presentation, as to where they're at. I think I told you guys they are still waiting on, Georgia to give them a permit to put in the last holding facility.
You did.
Yep.
So moving on, general business, item 13, discussion on 136 interchange. Do you want to expand anything on that? Happy with where we're at on that? Item 14, additional agenda items. We have 2 tonight, I believe. Additional agenda items, number 1, got authorization to rebid or re-advertise bid for fire suppression and backflow preventer services. Mr. Harris.
Mr. Chairman, Commissioners, the bids have not been submitted on this, but we have had an issue with a pre-bid meeting, and because of that particular issue, we want to re-advertise and give all of the companies an opportunity to participate in a pre-bid meeting to look at the equipment before we actually do the bid, so it's going to require a re-advertisement, so we can set new dates on that.
Any questions or concern from the board?
I don't have any.
Do I have a motion?
Motion approved.
Second.
Got a motion by Mr. Fleming, second by Commissioner Gamble.
Yes, sir.
All in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed, same sign. Item number 2, discuss with possible board action scheduling a workshop related to purchase of a radio system used by fire rescue and the sheriff's office. Sheriff Sam St. John, you'd like to speak to that?
Thank you, Chairman. I talked to Randy earlier about this here, and what our thoughts were is that, we've talked to Williams Communications, that, they've had a workshop with them, and they've come down quite a bit between us and the fire department, kind of bringing our radio prices down from the dual band to just a single band. It brought down some. The Williams Communications has brought down some of their prices that I think would be nationally a lot better for us and for the taxpayers. So I guess my question would be that, and we've talked to Motorola and had a meeting with them, and they're still up in the air about if they're going to get the contract or not. And what their proposition was is they was wanting to use our old existing towers to put basically slurs equipment on it, and then once and if they got the contract and so forth, then they would take the either use the existing towers or take it off and use the state slurs towers. Guys, I'm not in favor of that at all. I just don't see where that would be beneficial to us, and I would just be scared of them using our old wore-out towers to put equipment on there I don't think that would be advantageous to us and money-wise either. So our question would be, and naturally, if you want to, have a meeting with, I guess our question would be is, did you want to have another workshop with both Williams and Motorola there together? And also, one other thing, I've talked to Matthew Manley. He's actually over the state slur system. I talked to him today, and he said he'd be glad to come in here and be in the workshop, and y'all can ask him any questions. And the reason I say that is because he's not in the radio business as far as selling them. He could tell you that, okay, if you buy this equipment or that equipment, that it'll work with the state slur system, and it'd be compatible whether Williams has it or Motorola has it. So he would be basically a unbiased person to ask questions about that's not profiting off selling radios, if y'all wanted to go that route. But what Motorola is proposing, I just don't feel comfortable about it, and I just wouldn't push that issue at all as far as how they want to do things until they actually take over. And it's no one can really give you a exact number or how many years, but anywhere that's looking at either from 3 to 5 years. If Motorola signed a contract today, is before they could have the system changed over throughout the whole state of Florida, if not longer. So, and I just don't feel comfortable with what they're proposing. I don't think I would do that. Try to use our old existing towers, and old equipment to try to upgrade and basically just a Band-Aid to get us by, and I just don't feel comfortable with that. So I guess our question with me and Randy would be is how did you want to proceed at this point as far as the workshop at this point in time?
I think an important piece of the conversation maybe is, you and I know this because we talk, but would be the difference in the numbers. When they first came in here and we had a conversation, it was over $2 million.
Yes, sir.
And with the changes between the company and the service, the single.
Between a dual band and single band.
Yeah, the numbers came down quite a bit. What was that number? Do you remember?
I think it's like either 1.4, 1.6. So it's come down.
Around 1.4.
Yeah, we're 1.4. Yes, sir. Yeah.
So there's a significant reduction. The question is, do you want to try to entertain other companies? Do you want to have another workshop to discuss this? Do you want to look at the reduction in the price, and then they had offered a finance plan themselves at the time, or going back and trying to get some banks involved and see if we want to try to finance it with the bank. We don't have anything in the budget currently for the system. So this is a real general question. We know it takes a long time to put all this stuff together, but how do you want to pursue this issue going forward is really the question.
Did we move out the 75 from the sheriff's budget and from the fire budget that we were budgeting every year? The 75,000 that we were
I think we
using?
left it in there this year.
Do what?
I think we left it in there in both of them.
I thought we did. I can't
I don't
remember.
remember taking it out.
It's in there? And that was
The original, we didn't add to it though, did we? So we have the original.
right. That's what I'm saying. It wasn't rolling over. We don't have, we didn't put
We didn't
70.
double it.
That's,
Right.
okay.
Mr. Chairman, that was a big, that's a big drop from over 2 million down to 1.4 million.
Yes, sir.
Significant drop. I would entertain that if we did another workshop.
Okay.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes,
Um,
sorry.
I'm sorry?
Nothing, go ahead. Freudian slip. Hey, it's been 3 years. Come on, give me a break.
I feel like I've lost control already.
Turn it off.
Mr. Richardson.
Mr. Chairman, go ahead. You can have it back.
I think that there's still a lot of unanswered questions out there. I'm not in a hurry for this at all. I believe that, but I believe about one thing. I believe that if we entertained 3 different contracts, 3 different proposals, excuse me, and one of them was with Kenwood. And I don't think that we ought to have a workshop with 2 of those 3 without having a representative from the third company at least coming in to be able to talk about theirs as well. I think it's fair, but I'll just put on the record that I think we could wait a little longer. I know that the sheriff's got some issues with this communications. I know that fire and EMS they were kind of working around a lot of the stuff, and as long as they stay vigilant, they're getting through with it. I'm just wondering if we can't make things work a little bit longer until we get a budget, see what this next year's budget's coming out. I don't want to finance anything if we don't have to. I'd rather just spend the money if we could. That way we don't have to have a recurring bill, but I'd be honest with you, I'm just not 100%.
Even with
Well,
the reduction, we're going to have to finance it.
Yeah, we don't have that money.
I mean, 1.4, you're looking at not funding any of your typical so-called wish list stuff than just funding
I understand that.
radios.
I understand that. That's one of the reasons why I'm not in a hurry.
This, Mark, I mean, what me and Randy had talked about, it's not, my understanding is we just want to just kind of see what direction we need to go, not I guess, not really to talk about financing, but just see if this is how we want to do it. And I'm not 100% sure, Commissioner Richardson, but I don't think Ken would be, I don't think their radio is capable of the slurs that I'm not 100% sure on that.
Well, at this point, neither is Motorola. Motorola's not on the slur system either, but they're in whatever talks with the state or wherever this thing is with the state of Florida or the courts about for a consultant. And now, we were given someone from the state who is not going to consult. They're just going to say that'll work or that won't work. Or this is why I'd like to have a consultant giving us the pros and cons of an independent consultant giving us the pros and cons of each system that we'd be looking at. If we can't do that, then I'm not in favor of a workshop.
I appreciate your comments, Mr. Richardson. The only thing I'd say is I'm all in favor of the radio system. I mean, I know it's going to be safer. And the biggest problem I ever had from day one was the number. And it's kind of like everything else that we work on. I mean, when it comes to the table and we ask people to try to work on their numbers and they go work on them and come back to us and they've done, really got after it. I just feel like that, I'm not in favor of kicking the can down the road and talking about it in another year. I mean, my obligation is to move forward for the best interests of the county and the safety of everybody. And, you know, that's just my opinion. And I would like for the rest of y'all to really speak up, and let's kind of iron this out and see where we're going to go with it.
Mr. Chairman, if you will, and I'm glad you brought that up, because some of the things you guys spoke about as far as the competition and those guys going back sharpening their pencil, but I do think this board, we negotiated with those guys pretty lengthy, and I think that was another part of us. I don't want to, you know, cut us short of that. I don't know if having another workshop and talking to these people and actually seeing the numbers in writing, I mean, we're just talking numbers now, nothing's on paper, it isn't a bad idea. I will say, and I know Mr. Richardson's not leaning towards the slurs, but the research I've done and the questions I've asked, I'm kind of leaning that way, because I know other counties and people I've talked to that have tried to fix their towers and things, and it just seems like an ongoing expense to them, is the information I've gathered.
But to answer some of your concerns, Mr. Richardson, is that, you know, ever since I've become a sheriff, this has been kind of a pet peeve of mine, trying to, because the last 36 years I was on the road as a deputy, I just see all the problems and issues we had, and since I've become sheriff, that was just something that I was really wanting to go after, because of the safety of the officers, and believe me, we've probably met with 6, 7 different radio companies, and they've all went out and, you know, gave the proposals and so forth and all. And, you know, as far as money-wise, you know, you're looking at about the same amount of money. So you're not going to, as far as if we try to fix our old towers versus go to slur system, you know, you're talking about the same amount of money. You might have a little bit difference here and there on the thing. But, you know, with going with the slurs, another thing is you get out of the radio tower business as far as, you know, the maintenance and costs and all that there. If anything happens, you call the state of Florida and they come fix it for you and so forth. And then another plus is, you know, with all the hurricanes that Florida has, you know, when Michael hit out there, you know, there was a couple counties that their towers blew down, and then the state come in there and put up some temporary towers and gave them radios, and they was back working, you know, within a matter of, you know, a few hours. So there's just a lot of advantages there, you know. But I can tell you, I've talked to quite a few of them. Another thing is the reason I'm kind of why I talked to Mr. Harris here about it is that, you know, just like last Saturday, our radios went down, you know, and that's because of they're just an old system, you know. I think it turned out to be the phone lines, you know, and so forth. But ever since, you know, I've been here, the radio system has went, I mean, completely down, you know, several times and so forth. And sometimes we got to piggyback off from the fire department's their old channel, you know. So there's something here that's, I understand you want to save money, and I do too. But, you know, it's something here that, you know, we, just like Chairman Stapleton said, it's kicking the can down the road. I think we would really like to do something, because, you know, here again, you know, how much you can't put a price on someone's life out there, you know.
Yes, sir. Just, Mr. Chairman, couple quick things. I want to clarify. Number one, I do appreciate the number, because that's below the number that I said that I would be the top end number that I would accept. Absolutely. I appreciate the work that went into that. I'm not exactly sure. I think you're talking about a workshop that never got scheduled because of other things that we wanted to have. So when we're talking about scheduling another workshop, I'm not opposed to a workshop. But I just don't believe, I would like to hear a consultant tell me how we can get the system, a system for as good of a price as we can get without having to have slurs radios, that their systems on our towers, those slurs systems will become obsolete whenever that contract ends and the new system is up and running. And that means we were going to have to pay for new systems, some sort of a new piece of equipment. And we talked about this last time, about whatever system they have that operates the slurs system at this point, that box will at some point become obsolete. whenever whatever comes in later takes over. And so I just want to see, how it's going to work. And I don't think that means, from everything that I've been told, that means it's only one of two companies. Because the patches can work on multiple radios, any P25 system. They can still work, having a patch equipment through dispatch. And I just want to see the difference. Like I said, I'm not opposed to the workshop, but I'm just not in a hurry for it. That's all I'm saying. And by the way, the safety of the officers, that is important, and getting this communication system fixed. I'm just not sure that I'm not so sure that Harris is the fix. That's all I'm saying. I'd like to know more.
Thank you, Mr. Richardson. Mr. Fleming, you got anything you'd like to add?
I'm standing by what I'm saying. My main concern is about the safety of the officers. You know, I'm familiar when those towers go down, you have no service. It's just poor judgment.
Yeah. Thank you.
Any other comments?
Yeah, it's trying to think back. What's it been, 3 years, 4 years? A lot of the questions that are being raised, and granted, I understand because a lot of y'all weren't able to be at these meetings, but the slur system and the state system was not the system that we wanted to go with. I sat in those meetings, and everybody was dead set against it because of the cost of the radios, and they wanted to redo the towers through either adding the new equipment to the towers or rebuilding them. We had companies come in and provide countywide maps showing point to point from tower to tower to tower on how they would connect, and it was all kind of problems that they started running into with the phone lines between Live Oak and Brantford, and then from Brantford, and I can't remember all the details, but by the time you got the dollar amount to make these tower system, to bring ours up to date from the obsolete system that it is, the price tag started getting closer and closer to the slur system. And that's when everybody started saying, well, if we're gonna have to do all this, stay in the tower business just to run off these 20-year-old radios or 15-year-old radios that we have, we might as well go to the slur system, get out of the tower business. And now, being out of the tower business, the price has come down $600,000.
Yes, sir.
So, I mean, it's moving in the right direction on the price, and we're out of the tower business. And I think in the long term, we're better off to be out of the tower business. You know, I didn't like the $2 million price tag, but when we sat in that first meeting, that was the thing that I told y'all, we need to be on the state system. That's the system I was on when we worked for Department of Corrections. It's a good system. I liked it there, and I think it'd be a great system for Suwannee County. So I'm for moving forward with it. Let's have a workshop or put it on the agenda. Whatever we need to do, we need to move forward with it.
Commissioner Hale, anything?
Yeah, no, I agree. I mean, like I said, I'm leaning more towards that. Just the more research I've done, the more counties I've called and people I've spoken with. I think, yes, we've had a lot of discussion on it. I don't think having maybe another workshop with some numbers in front of us, final numbers, looking at, you know, number of radios, things of that nature, just to keep us from tying up in a long meeting. I think it would be a good idea. That's my opinion.
Yeah. And one thing we did discuss too at the last one, was to, if we are going to have, which we are going to have to have a finance mechanism for it, we talked about looking at some banks, being that it was, I can't remember what the rate was they were giving us, but we thought it may be something that local bank or could match or beat.
Yeah. At least have the opportunity.
Mm-hmm. So.
Do I have a motion to schedule a workshop related to the purchase of the radio system?
Motion approved.
Second.
I got a motion by Commissioner Fleming, second by Commissioner Gamble. All in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed, same sign. Commissioner Richardson, opposed. Motion carries 4-1.
You need a date?
We'll put some dates together and bring them back to you. Bring them back in your next meeting.
I think if you would want to, and I'd like to have him there, that Matthew Manley with the state system. Here again, I think he could answer a lot of your questions. And like I say, he would be unbiased. You know, he would just tell us what, you know, how the system works and how it would work here in our area and so forth, and any questions or concerns. Because I talked to him extensively, and I've learned a lot from him about, you know, how it operates and so forth. So if you don't mind, when we do have a date, I'll see if he can meet us or have us be at the meeting, and y'all be glad to ask him any questions y'all come in mind.
I'd like to have him there.
Yeah, I mean, the more information that we have in front of us, absolutely the better. And I
Okay.
think it would help Commissioner Richardson maybe understand some of the questions he's got and concerns and,
I still believe that we need to have an independent consultant here, not just someone from the state, but, and representatives from at least Kenwood. But
Mr. Chairman, I want to say this, you know, on the state system that we utilize, we don't have any problem with that system, Sheriff. I mean, it's a good system. And those 800 megahertz, and ever since we've been using them, I have never saw them go down.
Yes, sir.
And if they do, it's not our problem. They got to fix it.
Yeah.
thank you, Sheriff.
Hey, thank you, guys.
And
Thank you.
I mean, I know you want to hear from other companies, but if any of these companies aren't capable of being on the state system or slurs, where they got to be on our towers, I'm not in the, I'm not even up for discussion on us maintaining towers.
Yeah.
And having anything.
if someone came in and said, this company, this company, this company, this company cannot get on state system regardless, I can understand that. But that's not what I'm hearing from people in the radio business. So that's the reason why I'd like to have other options. I still think we could drive the number
Well,
down
if
a
you're
little
hearing
bit.
something from some of these folks, Mr. Richardson, maybe you could print that out and bring it to that meeting, and we could have something to look at if there's something that's.
I'm glad to, but I'd rather have somebody there to, I've been recommended to get an independent consultant. That's
Mr.
why I've asked
Chairman,
for it.
Let me just ask the question. Is there an objection by the board to having I mean, we could try to find a consultant,
I don't have a
I don't
problem
have
with
a
that.
problem with that.
No, I don't.
have them
Thank you.
participate in the meeting. So
Don't have
we'll
a
be
problem
glad to
with
do that, and at the same time, try to put some dates together for a workshop and see if we can get the thing moving.
Fair enough.
Fair enough.
Fair enough for me.
Moving on, item number 15, public comment. Do we have anybody from the public wishing to speak? Seeing none, we'll move on to item 16, administrator's comments. He's already spoken.
Yes, sir, I did.
Anything else, Mr.
I
Harris?
was thankful on Thanksgiving.
Yes, sir. We all were. Item 17, board members' comments. Mr. Richardson.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I do have a couple of things. Hopefully everyone had a good Thanksgiving, and we did, and I appreciate the thoughts regarding Thanksgiving services and Thanksgiving Day. I've been in discussions with Florida DOT about an issue with County Road 49 intersection with State Road 247. Asked for consideration on either fixing the road through a combination of realignment or putting a stoplight, changing the flashing light to a stoplight there. We have 24 accidents in the last 4 years, not a whole lot, but the one or two that wind up in a death, that's a major concern. They have admitted, as well as Florida Highway Patrol, Columbia County Sheriff's Department, their leaders chimed in on it too as well, said the same thing. This is a dangerous intersection because it is such an angle to one another that it's hard to see, it's hard to turn, especially the older you get. It's hard to make that turnaround before you take off, and then you got people who just like to run stop signs, run stop lights and everything else. So I have asked, they have responded by suggesting a realignment of that road, study of it to realign it. I think it's a good idea. But then I talked to someone who had spoken with DOT, and I'll confirm all of these numbers, the cost of swapping out the flashing light to a stoplight. I don't know what DOT's requirements are for that, but the cost is considerably less, no more than about $75,000 for all of the work. That's what DOT and other districts are telling them. Now, like I said, I'd be glad to verify that information, but my concern is more of an immediate concern. If they go through a realignment process, you're looking at several years down the road before they fund it, and then they put it into the 5-year plan, where if they can save a lot of money, we can get this thing, a stoplight put in to fix the problem a lot sooner. And I would like the board to consider getting behind a proposal to at least go to DOT and ask, would you put a stoplight in instead? I don't know if their policy is that they only go by crash data for stoplights. I don't know. They wouldn't give me a clear answer on any of this. But like I said, the captain over at FHP goes to the safety meetings. One of the high-ranking, I don't know, he's got a lot of stars on him over at Columbia County.
Really?
Said the same exact thing. This regardless has to be fixed. It's a major problem there, especially with the amount of traffic and the trucks that travel 49. It's just a matter of time. I don't think it's going to be a process like trying to get stoplights out in 129 and I-10. But I think that it's something that the board either needs to get behind or just say, you know what, we'll take what we can get. So I just wanted to bring that to your attention and ask for your consideration in there. If anyone who wants to jump in and do some research in it, I'd be glad to.
Did you, Mr. Chairman? Yes. Did you say they agreed to do a study for you?
Yes, they said that unlikely that they would do the crash data would justify a stoplight until I got numbers on the cost of each. The realignment would cost a lot more than a stoplight would cost, and it makes no sense. And a stoplight would be a passive stoplight, so it stays green on state road until someone comes up on a county road. So
I can't speak to that. I know the discussions that me and Mr. Harrison and Mr. Pittman have had with DOT with the 129 I-10. Obviously a lot different than that discussion there, but I do know they have how long traffic gets backed up. You know, they like to keep that traffic flowing. I just can't imagine there being a problem there with a stoplight holding traffic up for too long.
No, there's not enough traffic on 49 to hold up traffic on that. The problem with 49 is it's hard to make that turn to look to see if you can get it. And the complaints that, hey, you have to turn your neck. You have to pretty much, when you come to that stoplight, you have to turn around just about in your seat and look over your shoulder to be able to see if anybody's there. And so realignment is a necessary thing. I always think the realignment is a necessary thing. I just think that why wait so long? That's what I'm saying.
Thank you, Mr. Richardson. Mr. Fleming?
I just want to say to the board, I thank you all for opting to have the meeting that Monday night to allow me to go down to Fort Lauderdale. The trip was a very good trip. And you always get to learn some things, and I do have some information, but I don't care to share it right now, but there are some things that are happening, which is going back to the legislative session, which will be voted on, and when it come our way, then we can react to some things they were talking about. And I want to say to you tonight, you chaired a very good meeting tonight.
Appreciate that.
We look forward for many more nights and many more months to come.
Yes, sir. Thank you. Anything else?
That's it.
Thank you, sir. Commissioner Gamble?
I don't have anything other than good job tonight. Sorry I butted in. Christmas on the Squares, Friday, Saturday, Thursday? When's it start? Thursday? Thursday. Hope to see everybody out there.
Yes, sir. Thank you. Commissioner Hale?
Yes, sir. First of all, I hope everyone noticed I did my part. I brought water, lots of water, and that's for the public as well, not just for these guys up here, even though they do most of blowing hot air up here. But
Commissioner Hale, I was just going to say, I was going to welcome everybody to the Suwannee County Commission meeting sponsored by Busy Bee
Yeah.
Water.
It just happened to be the first stop I made this morning, so. But all joking aside, our community has had a blow here lately of deaths, I tell you. A lot of people have passed lately, and one was a family member of Commissioner Gamble's here. I just want you guys to please just, and it's funny, we talked about this, or I think I brought it up at the last meeting, we just don't know what goes on in people's lives and just need to pray for one another. And I would ask you guys to please do that for the Johnson family, the Brinsons. One of my neighbors down the road, not even a mile down the road, Mike Brown, was killed the other night in a car accident. Just multiple things going on in this county, and we just don't need to lose sight of that, and just keep everyone in their prayers. And you did a great job, Chairman.
Thank you, sir.
Yep.
That's the first time I ever heard that from you.
I'll echo that, by the way.
No, I appreciate the support and the guidance and the advice, and it's a little different sitting here, I will say. Everybody's looking to you to make the next statement.
When it gets quiet, you got to think of something to say.
Right, exactly. So usually I can think of something to say, it's just not necessarily the right thing.
I'm just wondering what happened to us to get our seats moved, that's all.
Well, I
Like
felt
at
like,
the end of the row. It's easy to get out and go to the restroom, you know?
it's kind of like a new class. You just, you go in there and you get assigned a different seat and you're a little uncomfortable and gonna get redirected and get more out of you and try to keep you out of trouble because I got you between legal counsel
I know,
and
that's what I
Mr.
was-
Fleming.
That's what I was
So I
really
feel-
concerned about that.
No, grateful to have the opportunity to be here and be the chair. Means a lot to me, and it means a lot that this board's took some, got behind me and supported me to give me the opportunity to do it. I know tonight was a little rocky, but I'll work on that as we move forward. Try to do better next time, and the next time after that, it'll get a little smoother maybe. And only other thing I'd say is, I got one thing here I want to share with Commissioner Gamble. I just wanted to tell you that since I've been on the board, I really appreciate what you've done. And I know you've been the chairman for 3 years, and it's shown that the unity of the board and the smoothness of the meetings and how it's about getting business done of the people and taking the politics and left it at the door. And that's just, I've learned from sitting in here and seeing how these meetings run, and it means a lot to me. And on behalf of the board, we got you a little jacket here. It says Suwannee County Commission Chairman 2017 to 19, Ricky Gamble. Now, I will preface this by saying this is from county admin because there's ethics involved, and the board didn't give you anything. With that being said, all I need is a motion to adjourn.
So move.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Gamble, second by Commissioner Fleming. Thank you.